As to Brady, and you mentioned the allure of the Payton-Brady combination. Could you imagine? And especially what Brady's experienced. He had 20 years with hard-charging, attention to detail, no days off, pain in the ass Bill Belichick. Then he goes to 2 years of semi or more retired Bruce Arians, who is hands off. And there was some reporting dust up a week or so ago about the notion that Arians would swoop in and make changes to the game plan and then swoop back out. But he goes from one extreme to the other. With Payton, it's back at the other extreme from a work ethic standpoint, but not nearly the pain in the butt that Belichick can be, and an offensive guy, not a defensive guy who kind of morphed into someone who can facilitate and support Josh McDaniels' offense. You are hitching your wagon with Sean Payton, if you're Tom Brady, to a guy who is one of the great NFL experts in offense and in paying attention to detail, coming up with plays that suit the strengths and minimize the weaknesses of his players. It would have been a dream for Brady to cap his career with Sean Payton. So it makes sense why it was something where the planets were loosely lining up and the Flores lawsuit ultimately resulted in the plug being pulled on the possibility. But I could definitely see why Brady would have wanted to pair up with Sean Payton.
You know, there's one other thing, and I know this is going to sound a little bit, what's the right word to say? This is going to sound a little bit odd just from the standpoint of, you know, team building and team construction. But if you look at what would have happened for the Miami Dolphins to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady, I mean, the Dolphins would have had to pay compensation for both. So look at the Dolphins draft this year. They don't pick till number 50. So I think that means that they probably would have had to give, and I'm guessing, at least a 3 to Tampa for Brady. I'm guessing. And then they'd probably have to give next year's 1, let's say, right, for Peyton. And that's a guess. But, man, that's a lot to be giving, isn't it? And you're kind of denuding a couple drafts to do that. And I'm not saying that's a reason not to do it, but I'm saying, man, that's a lot.
They were ready to do it, though, for Deshaun Watson last year. So just like Amazon, the wallet's already open. They're ready to give up assets. And this is a team where, if you're Stephen Ross, you can look at the product of your draft picks in recent years and say, especially at the upper part of the draft, well, I mean, kind of the Rams mindset. We're scratching off these lottery tickets and they're not winners. So if we have to throw some of them to another team to get guys that we know who are established, going to help us where we get to where we want to be, then let's go ahead and do it. But alas, it didn't happen. That would have been something. In an offseason that has had plenty of surprises so far, Brady and Payton ending up together in Miami would have been a huge surprise. And you know what it tells me, Peter? It only reinforces the idea that Tom Brady hasn't retired from football. He's retired from the Buccaneers. That was really the message 4 Tuesdays ago. He's retired from the Buccaneers. If he plays again, he's going to play somewhere else, and he very well may. And he said it himself 6 days after he retired. Never say never, and I don't know how I'm going to feel when June and July rolls around. That's the signal that he knows where this is going. And also, you know, you raised that point about the compensation for the Buccaneers. Brady's smart enough to realize that whatever his next team gives up, that's less stuff that's going to be there to help him. I just wonder how hard Brady is going to nudge the Buccaneers to minimize what they would want for him. He did that extension last year for cap reasons, not to commit to the Buccaneers through 2022. He originally signed a 2-year contract and would have been a free agent right now, heading into the 2022 spending spree. So I can't help but wonder whether there's an effort by Brady behind the scenes to get the Buccaneers to accept something to save some face so they just don't cut him loose, but to not demand the kind of compensation package that maybe they'd be inclined to try to get.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.